What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the round 3 of US Chess Championships. I'm International Master Zura Jawahadze, and in this video I will show you two very sharp attacking games that saw decisive results. Number one, we start with the open section. Wesley So beats Sam Shankland in stylistic fashion, crushing the Caro-Kann defense, one of the most solid openings out there at all levels. And this is what the standings look like after round 3. Wesley leads with 2.5 points, and Fabiano and Levon Aronian sharing the second place with 2 out of 3. Another game that I want to show you was played by Nazi Paikidze, who also took the share lead in the tournament by beating Abrahamyan's King's Indian defense. So both games miniature in a way, sharp attacks, and also important opening references in my opinion. So we are in for a treat. Now, make sure you do subscribe to the channel if you like this style of analysis and if you would like to see more of it. And that being said, without further ado, let's get to the first game. Wesley starts with e4, pawn to c6, pawn to d4, white takes control of the center. Black balances it with the d pawn and pawn to e5. Advanced variation, probably the most critical test to the Caro-Kann defense. Bishop goes to f5, so black wants to play e6 and make sure that this bishop does not get stuck inside the pawn chain. And white plays h4. Idea of h4 is if e6, suddenly this bishop is going to be trapped, for example, after the sequence like that. So black has to make a left here with either pawn to h5 or pawn to h6. Both are common. Sam decides to choose h5. And now a very trendy c4 continuation. I am actually not sure what exactly is this line called, but white chooses to challenge the center immediately. Black plays e6, knight goes to c3, and d takes c4. Now you can see these arrows which point towards the d5 square. So white is willing to give black this outpost on d5 for the cost of activity. Knight d7, knight ge2, and bishop goes to e7 to attack the pawn on h4. White defends it with g3, and now this asks the question, what are you going to do with this knight on g8? So black brings it to h6, and now bishop goes to f4. So white has developed all minor pieces so far quite actively. Black has done so too, but not so actively. They're still, as you can see, lacking some space here, especially this knight. And most importantly, now black is facing a serious dilemma here. Where is this king going to find the safe shelter, if it is able to find the safe shelter at all? Clearly, it's not going to be the short side, because bishop h6 then is going to destroy the kingside pawn structure. So Sam chooses to go with queen b6, short castle, and long castle. Wesley plays a3, pointing towards this queenside expansion here with b4. King slides on the way to b8. Computer gives this a question mark, but it is very hard to recommend a good move here. Apparently bishop to h3 and then knight to f5 could be one of the considerations here, but Sam playing very fast here, almost without spending any time, tells me that he is probably still in the preparation here. So I'm not 100% sure what he didn't know. Actually, he did spend 12 minutes on this move, king b8. So maybe at this point he is already out of book. This actually does look quite interesting. Now this bishop is a little awkward here, but then you can retreat back to g4 if attacked. So it would be interesting to see what was Wesley's idea here. Maybe f3, but then computer says black can get the attack going immediately with g5. This is actually not looking very comfortable. Idea is to bring the knight on g6 there. So king b8 was played in the game. b4 white expands on the queen side. King goes all the way in the corner there to a8, and Wesley wastes no time. Pawn to b5, opening up some files here. It's true that the b1 square at the moment is not accessible for the rook, but opening up the b file is still going to be very dangerous for black. Knight goes to g4 was played by black, and pawn to a4. Again, no time wasted whatsoever. Now threatening a5 here, and then some kind of a6, b6, completely opening up the queen side. So black has to block that a5 square with the queen, but then b takes c6. Now b takes c6, and queen goes to c1. A nice little move here, x-raying the c file. Another reason why I think this is a strong move is it makes room for other pieces to get involved in the game. After rook b8, rook comes to d1, rook h2, d8, bishop retreats back to a2 with the idea of trying to move the knight away if needed, and c6 is a target. Knight b6 was played here, which I think looks natural, but computer says it is a mistake. Immediate like bishop b4 or rook b4 would be a little better, but I think white's position is already very comfortable here, after something like bishop b1 forcing the light bishop trade. So knight b6 was played, bishop goes to g5 to trade the dark square bishops, and after f6, e takes f6, knight takes f6, and now knight gets involved into the game here from e2 to f for attacking the e6 pawn. Black has a lot of weaknesses already. e5, now knight invades the e6 square here, asking for this bishop. If not, then the rook is going to be under attack. Knight c7 is also a threat, so that knight cannot stay there for a very long time. After bishop takes e6, rook takes d4 was played, and after the rook trade, simple move here, knight retreating back to e2 to attack both d4 and c6 pawns. Queen c5, but a5 now is very strong. White does not, excuse me, black does not have time to trade queens, because if you do so, after this, simply knight takes d4, c6 pawn is also gonna drop. Black is already down a pawn, plus white is going to have a bishop pair, and also added with these knight is minor pieces, white minor pieces are a lot more active than black minor pieces and have a lot more targets, namely this pawn on c6, and all kinds of double attacks afterwards. So knight b to d5, now knight takes d4. As you can see, computer evaluates this as the brilliancy here, because it sacrifices the knight. If you do take on d4 after rook b7, there's probably a lot of ways here to win this. For example, rook b1 could be the one. I believe apparently also taking here bishop f6, because then bishop d5 is the threat you have to take, and then rook b1, bishop c8 is coming, a6 is coming. This is a game over. So knight c3, to counter it, bishop retreats back to e3. I was thinking here maybe there is queen d4, but this move also does not change much after the queen trade. Black is going to lose here at least a pawn, and the situation is still very difficult. For example, if you try to defend it, bishop e5, rook b1 check, and even though queens have been traded off the board, that king is still in a very difficult situation. So rook d8, now a very nice touch here. Queen comes to f1, because now the rook d4 was actually a threat. So queen f1, neutralizing this knight e2 threat. If needed, maybe queen can come to g2, vacating the c1 square for the rook, and material is still equal. So basically white didn't even risk anything here and have all this menacing attack. Knight d5, bishop takes d5, queen takes d5. Now queen gets to a6 there, knight takes c6, knight takes d8 after bishop e3, and already black is going down the material. Desperate attempt to find the perpetual check, but there is none, because after queen d2 check, simply e2 square is covered with the queen. So after a check like that, for example, this king could probably go to e3 and then try to escape this way, or even back on f2 and let's say what's the best way here? Maybe here, knight e2 check. There are quite few checks actually here, apparently, like that, and after queen c5, king h1, and after king hides on h3, black is gonna run out of checks. So queen f5, but the same thing happened here. King hid in the king side there, so game was decided, and Sam resigned. Okay, because after queen d7 check, there's going to be knight e6. Very nice, a miniature. It was 38 moves, so maybe not quite a miniature, but still it felt like a very one-sided affair. So props to Wesley for crushing one of the most solid openings. Another game that I will show you is Nazi Paikidze versus Tatev Abrahamyan. Nazi starts with d for knight f6, and Tatev chooses to go for the King's Indian defense. Knight c3, e4, d6, h3, e5. Okay, this h3 is called the Makagonov variation. Usually the idea is to close the center and then get the kingside expansion going immediately. And that is kind of what happened here. After bishop lands on e3, white goes g4 immediately. What Hikaru likes to call the cheese. Goes for the instant cheese. Okay, so g5, knight retreats back, h4, short castle, knight, ge2 goes to g3 to secure this e4 pawn, bishop g4, but white does not mind trading the light squared bishops at all. In fact, I'm not sure, was that bishop g4 a good idea? I don't think, honestly, personally, I would not want to trade that light squared bishop. I am no King's Indian defense expert, so I'm not sure what would be the best way to continue here. Maybe f5, but apparently now computer likes immediate sacrifice and then takes on h5, threatening g6, and the checkmate on h7. Or even if you move the queen and then get these pawns going, that also looks quite menacing. So bishop g4, bishop to e2, light squared bishops were traded off the board, and white castles short like nothing happened there. Pawns are not on g5 and h4, but how is black going to exploit it? If they play, for example, f6 again, there is always this idea of taking on h5, then going g6 and queen h5 with the crushing attack. Black played a3 here, and then instead of creating the counterplay on the king side, tries to open up the queen side with c6. Black plays king to h2, queen goes to a5, bishop d2 now to defend this knight on c3, knight b4, and a very nice touch here, knight d1. White brings the last minor piece that was not participating into the attack here. We are d1 to e3, after which white is ready for the brilliant knight f5. The move is screaming to be played here, and the point is, if you do take, which Tata decided to go for, because otherwise I think taking on f7, for example, if you try, I'm not sure what UN to recommend here. And this is probably going to be knight h5 right now. coming, if you do not play king f7, still knight h5 is coming, g6, queen h5, and that is going to be game over in the next few moves. And something similar happened in the game here. Knight lands on f5, queen takes h5, and black is simply defenseless here. The knight hangs on b4, so already black is down the material, and checkmate is going to follow in the next few moves here. After h6, bishop takes it, and queen h8 ends the game. Those are the two games that I myself enjoyed watching. Another, my favorite, Andy Woodward felt short today against Grigory Oparin. Once again, he overpressed, and it didn't go well for him. Okay, that's it, what I have for today. And do let me know what you think, which one was your favorite, if you have struggled with either Caro-Kann defense or King's Indian defense, and if you plan to use this in your repertoire. I'll see you in round 4. Cheers.